Okay guys, so good evening and welcome back to BS2PCG Deck Folder. And for tonight, we're going to have another great deck, and we're going to try to discuss one of the original team members of the Avengers in the Marvel Battle set, and this is Iron Man. And for this particular deck, okay, we try to use our demo box, and I think most of you have seen that Iron Man has been around in this particular demo deck box for the longest time, but we have failed to, of course, discuss what are the inclusions in his particular deck build. So try to stick with me for today as we try to discuss with you, of course, what it takes to build the Iron Invaders deck. And this is your boy Mark Iom, and welcome to BS2PCG Deck Forger. Okay, so to begin with, what does it entail to run an Iron Man deck in any tournament? So Iron Man here, okay, lives for the particular purpose of powering him up because of his particular XP requirement, and that is the Armor Mark 3. And of course, if you already have that +1/+1 counter on Iron Man, then you can also get to use his upgraded armor. So it's more of having an early turn advantage by being able to power him up early on in the game, and at the same time making him grow big, so big enough that you can try to bully your way to winning the match, and at the same time avoid him from being stunned in return. So I really like this particular deck because it's very fast. And as you can see later, once we are in our deck teching table, that Iron Man can actually power up and level up at the same time, even during the first turn. So it will really depend on how you will use the mulligan mechanic to your advantage by being able to draw in those needed cards like additional copies of Iron Man in your hand and also call. Or if not, then you are able to power up all the other characters on your side of the team so that you are able to meet the level up requirement of Iron Man in the fastest possible time. And of course, this particular deck also makes use of the invade mechanic, wherein if you are able to attack back row characters, they are not able to strike back at you and stand back in return. Okay, so let's go to our deck teching table right now, and we'll try to find out what it takes to run the Iron Man Iron Invader deck. Okay, so what have we got here? Of course, we are here to discuss now what are the components of our Iron Invader deck. And we have our main character himself, of course, one of the original core members of the Avengers team in the Marvel Battle set. And this is Iron Man. So Iron Man at level 1 is a 2 attack 4 defense character with flight and range, and he has 5 health. And one of his first superpower is Repulsor Blast. And Repulsor Blast, during the main phase, you may pay a blue power symbol to put a -1/-1 counter on an enemy character. That is not much, but one of its advantages, you may push it to its back row. So this is also good for creating your ideal board state for your opponent's defense by putting heavily stat defenders and pushing them on the back row so that you're able to hit on those main characters and other critical characters hiding at the back. And his level up condition is level up power is Armor Mark 3. So level up, he needs only 3 XP. So when a character on your side powers up, Iron Man gains an XP. So in that case, Iron Man here has a number of cards needed for him to be able to level up, or others of his on his side to be able to power up, so that you are able to get that very much needed XP. And mind you, of course, this deck can level up Iron Man during even on the first turn. Okay, so let's say if he is able to level up, then Iron Man now becomes a 3 attack, 7 defense character, still with 5 health and flight and range. And besides Repulsor Blast, he now gains his second superpower, and this is called the Upgraded Armor. So during the main phase, you may pay a yellow power symbol to put 3+1/+1 counters on a character on your side that already has a +1/+1 counter. So this is also very ideal for Iron Man to grow big during the first 1 or 2 turns so that you're able to hit on your opponent early on in the game. So later on, we'll take a look at what other cards are included in your deck so that you're able to help Iron Man to level up quickly. Okay, so now let's try to look at the other components of your deck, starting of course with your supporting characters. And for this, okay, this is called the Iron Invader because of course besides Iron Man, with his power up and upgraded armor ability, you are also working on the invasion or the invade mechanic. So we'll try to explain that later. So for your first 1 drop, you only have 4 copies of this, and these are for Falcon. So Falcon comes from the Legacy set, and he is a 1 cost, 1 attack, 4 defense, 1 health supporting character with flight. And he has mobile, so once per turn during your main phase, but not during combat, you may move Falcon to your front or back row. But he's more important here because of his Psychic keyword power. And Psychic, when Falcon team attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each other attacker. So this sets the pace for your Iron Man. So since if you have Falcon out on the first turn, you can team attack with Iron Man, and that puts a +1/+1 counter on your Iron. So again, if you're able to put Falcon on the first turn and you're able to team attack with him, then that technically puts a +1/+1 counter on Iron Man. So later on, if you're able to use his upgraded armor, then you already have the requirement for him to have a +1/+1 counter. Okay? So let's try to discuss that further later. So that those are 4 copies of Falcon on your deck. And of course, we have 4 copies for your 2 drop. The first of your 2 drop is 4 copies of Call. So Call is here because she is important to provide that needed power up for your Iron Man. So Call as the supporting character is 2 cost, 2 attack, 2 defense character with 3 health and range. And she comes from the Weyland Yutani company team. And of course, Call is full of surprises, just like in the movie. So while Call is in your hand, you can discard her to power up any character on your side. So you can do this anytime you could normally power up that character. So again, another good synergy with Iron Man, because once that Iron Man attacks, whether or not you have your first drop Falcon or not, you can use your Call to power up, of course, Iron Man and put a +1/+1 counter on him. And in that way, you are able to gain 1 XP for your main character. See? So, very, very easy deck to use. And besides, of course, your Call, you also have 4 copies of this particular lady. And you have 4 copies of Moonstone. So, Moonstone is a 3 attack, 2 defense supporting character from the Femme Fatale team, and she has 1 health with both flight and range. And her keyword power is Gravity Stone. So enemy characters lose and can't gain flight while Moonstone is in play. So again, this is a good mechanic to use with your invade characters. So let's try to look at the first of our invade characters. And of course, we have 2 copies of Namor. And Namor is from the X-Men team. And he's a 2 drop with 3 attack, 2 defense, with 2 health, with flight. And his invade is while he's attacking a back row character, it can strike back at him. So again, since you have Moonstone out, all your characters with flight can technically attack Okay, those characters being protected at the back row because all of your opponent's front row defenders will lose their flight. And of course, to give added boost to your deck, we also have 4 copies of Ironheart. And Ironheart is your main 3-drop. And she's a 4 attack, 4 defense character, a supporting character from the Champions team. And she has flight and range and 1 health. And we are all weirdos here. Supporting characters on your side can team attack with each other, ignoring team and road restrictions. So the good thing about Ironheart is, of course, once she is out, and let's say you have a front row Namor on your front row position, and you have, let's say, your Iron Man at the back, or let's say your Moonstone, technically they can all team attack with each other. Okay, so ignoring team and row restrictions. And that is the good thing about having an Ironheart in your deck, because okay, if you're there's a need for you to attack those big defenders, you can use them clearly. Okay, combining all of your winning supporting characters in order to hit up on those bigger guys. Okay, so Ironheart is very important also in this deck. And next is we have our 4-drop, and we have 2 copies of this particular hero, and we have 2 copies of Spider-Man. And Spider-Man is also from the Avengers team, so he's a 4 cost, 4 attack, 7 defense character with 1 health. And he has dodge, so he can be range attack. And he's also very critical in this deck because of his web sling. Okay, so web sling is during your main phase. Okay, you may pay 1 red power symbol to pull a back row enemy character to its front row. So Iron Man, technically with his repulsor blast, can push back characters to the back row, while Spider-Man, on the other hand, can pull a back row enemy character to the front row. So you have the option of whether, okay, you really want to hit on that MC hiding at the back. Okay, it's either you push back a heavy defender at the front, or you can pull that main character at the front with Spider-Man's web sling. So again, this is important also here. And we also have a copy of Eggplant Leviathan, and we have included 1 copy of Eggplant Leviathan here because of its invade mechanics. But since it's only a one-of-a-kind creature, then you can only have 1 copy of this in your deck. So at 4-drop, Eggplant Leviathan is an 8 attack, 2 defense supporting character with 2 health. The only setback here, of course, is Eggplant Leviathan has lumbering. So when this creature attacks, the defending player chooses who the defender is. So it must be a character that it could normally attack. But however, it's offsetted by the fact that he has invade. So when Eggplant Leviathan is attacking at a back row character, it can strike back at it. So very powerful enough. And since it has also 2 health, okay, we have decided to include Eggplant Leviathan here now. Okay, and we also have 4 copies of a 5-drop character, and that is Iceman. And Iceman here is from the Mutant Resistance team, and at 5 cost, he is an 8 attack, 1 defense character with 2 health, and he has range. At the same time, he has Ice Slide, so during the main phase, you may pay a red power symbol, and Iceman gains both flight and invade this turn. So it's also good because combined with Moonstone and your other invade mechanic characters, and combined with Ironheart's team attacking ability, then you are able to hit back on characters without having them striking you back in return. Okay, so going to our 6th drop, we have 2 copies of the female Loki. And female Loki is from the A-Force team, and she is a 7 attack, 6 defense character with 1 health. She is power hungry, so you just have to be careful because once per turn, when a character on your side gets powered up, she's power hungry, so once per turn when a character on your side gets powered up, you are able to draw 3 cards. So this is good also for you to gain that hand advantage. But you have to be careful because of her questionable loyalty. So at the start of your build phase, if a face-up enemy character has higher attack than each face-up character on your side, then move low-key to that player's back row. So you just have to be aware that you always have to have the biggest character in the side of the board, okay? So at any time. So for you to avoid low-key going up against your opponent's side, okay? And of course, for your additional power-ups, our 6 and 7 drops consist of several copies of Iron Man. And for this, you can have 3 to 4 copies of the original Iron Man supporting character. And this is good for his power-up. Okay, so that you're able to meet the level up requirement of Iron Man. And we have also included 4 copies of Iron Man as the Hulkbuster version from the Shield team. Okay, so it's also good because we all need those cards in order to help power up your Iron Man main character. And topping off the list, of course, is two copies of 8-drop Proteus from the Omega faction. And since Proteus is an Omega level mutant, you can only have him as your Omega level mutant because you cannot have Omega level mutants with other names on your deck. And of course, he has possession, so when he appears, you have to remove him from the game, and he now gives his power to the host or the character that he anchors with. Okay, so he also has reality warping. So when Proteus is attached to your host, that host gets +10 attack, +10 defense, and gains range and has the superpower. During your main phase, you may pay any blue power symbol and you may heal a wound from that character. So imagine if your Iron Man, once he gets to level 2, now he becomes 3 attack, 7 defense, but with Proteus, he now becomes 13 attack and 7 defense. And the good thing here is he can gain a healing factor which heals his wound for each payment of a blue power symbol. Okay, so now those rounds up our supporting characters, and now we go to our plot twist. So we have 2 sets of plot twists here, and of course the first set are 4 copies of Think Again, and Think Again is an Avengers stamp plot twist, and during any combat you may cancel the combat. So this is good also to prevent your opponents from striking on your Iron Man and stunning him and losing on those much needed +1/+1 counters. And of course, if Think Again can't do the job, then you have Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and you have 4 copies of this plot twist in order for you to be able during any combat to choose a character to get +2 attack, +2 defense this combat. So that goes both ways, so it can be on the attacking side or on the defensive side. And you have 4 copies of this particular plot twist, which is one of the more powerful plot twists in the arsenal of the Avengers team. And finally, going to our locations. So we have several locations, and we have 4 copies of Laboratory. So this is also used to power up Iron Man's Repulsor Blast. And most especially, this is important for you to be able to heal wounds once Proteus gets to anchor on your Iron Man. And you also have 4 copies of Academy. And Academy is here, of course, because you need to power up Iron Man's upgraded armor. Okay, so you have 4 copies solely for that purpose. And we have 3 to 4 copies of Training Ground to provide those needed red power symbols. And they have several uses here, of course. You can use them for Spider-Man's Web Sling. And you can also use this for Iceman's Ice Slide superpower. And finally, we have 4 copies of Avengers Mansion, because Avengers Mansion is needed here to power up Iron Man's Repulsor Blast, also used to power up his upgraded armor, and also for Spider-Man's web slave. Okay, and of course, since if you're able to attach protease on on your Iron Man as the main character, you're also able to use Avengers Mansion to power up reality warping to heal a wound from your Iron Man. Okay, so how do we try to use this particular deck? Okay, so let's try to shuffle it first as we try to take a look at how we're going to try to see if this particular deck is really that easy to use in any tournament. Okay, so we'll try to shuffle it more in this particular scenario. So let's try to look at it this way. Okay, so let's say if we're able to draw this particular scene, let's say, okay, we're able to draw Iceman, Academy, Spider-Man, Ironheart. Okay, so what's our good mulligan here? Of course, is you need to have as many power up as you can during the early part of the game. So okay, let's try to look at this. Okay, let's try to, okay, you can play first your Academy, so you have your yellow ready. Then play Falcon, so that now Falcon can team attack with your Iron Man at the front row. Attack with both of them, and you gain a +1/+1 counter for Iron Man. Then you can use your other Iron Man supporting character to power up, and that technically puts 2 +1/+1 counters on Iron Man, bringing him to a 4/6, and now he gains 1 XP. Okay, and you can put Falcon on your back row after the combat because of his mobile. Okay, so let's say if you're able to draw another Iron Man during your next turn, then you can bring back Falcon again, place another location. Okay, then now you can attack with him again so that he gains now 3 +1/+1 counters with Falcon. Okay, and you are able to play another Iron Man so that you are able to get that needed +1, okay, +1 counter, so bringing it to 4. So imagine that, okay, during the second turn you already have a 6, okay, 6/8 main character. That is enough to normally stun most level 1 opposing character. Okay, now if you're able to play, let's say, another character, or you're able to power up Iron Man on the third turn, let's say you play 1 Academy again, then you play Ironheart. Okay, automatically once you power up Ironheart, he gains another +1/+1 counter, and you gain your 3rd XP, and that level ups your Iron Man. Okay, bringing him now to a whopping 3/7, 3 attack, 7 defense, with 4 +1/+1 counters, so that is technically 7 attack, and okay, that is 11 defense. Now, since you already have your yellow generating location ready, you can pay 1 yellow to put 3 +1/+1 counters on character on your side that already has a +1/+1 counter, and that now brings your Iron Man to a whopping 13 attack, okay, and 17 defense. So now, how do you beat that particular kind of thing? Okay, so he now becomes a very powerful character that can attack with a 13 attack and 17 defense to avoid a stun. But since you also have Falcon, now that will now increase his stats to 14 attack and 18 defense, all on the third turn. So again, like what I told you before, you can level up your Iron Man as early as the first turn. So let's say, how do you do that? Of course, normally you have to have, let's say, 2 Iron Man cards here on your hand during the first turn. Okay, so, or if you have, let's say, 1 call ready, let's try to look for a call. Okay, let's call. Okay, let's see here, we got a call. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's say you have this particular card out. This is your mulligan for your deck, and it's so easy to get them. Okay, with all those Iron Man supporting characters out. Now let's take a look at this. You pay 1 yellow. Okay. Then you have a Falcon here. Okay, so you have 5 cards left. Okay, then you now try to team attack with your level 1 Iron Man. That gives him a +1/+1 counter. Then if your opponent passes, you can now play 1 call to put a +1/+1 counter on Iron Man. Discard your second Iron Man supporting character card, and you now have 3 +1/+1 counters. Then pitch in your last Iron Man, and now you gain 4 +1/+1 counters, and at the same time it level ups Iron Man immediately, all during the first turn. Then after your combat ends, now you can pay 1 yellow power symbol for your Iron Man to put another 3 +1/+1 counters, and that brings your total to a whopping 10, 14, okay, stats for your heavily juiced up Iron Man at 2nd level. Okay, so again guys, this is a very fun deck to play with. I know that you have seen Iron Man before in so many of our videos, and we haven't really discussed what his particular deck is for his Iron Invader deck. And now you get to catch a glimpse of what Iron Man can really do. And I think it gives justice to this particular main character, because he's been around for as long as Marvel Battles has been, around 5 to 6 years. And I think nobody really took him that seriously, that he can be very competitive. I think the weakness here, of course, is once you're able to put out, your opponent is able to put out, let's say, Dark Phoenix. But at the same time, it's also good because, okay, with the new modern format, of course, Dark Phoenix is out of the game, so you don't have to worry about it. And Iron Man can prove really very good, okay, if you're able to build a very serious deck that revolves around him. Okay, so before we end this video, of course, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Forge Hobby Place. And Forge Hobby Place is located at Unit B, Velasquez Compound. We are on the 3rd floor along Naga Road, okay, in Pulanlupa 2, Las Piñas City, Philippines. And of course, we'd like to thank our sponsors, treatsfordem.com. So Treats for Them is spelled as TREATS number 4 THEM. Okay, and you can visit our website at www.treatsfordem.com, or you can download the app at Google Play Store. And also, we'd like to thank our friends from the BS2PCG Collective. And special thanks to our friends, Mr. Benjamin, Mr. Ben Brosin, Mr. Joe the Human Torch Vitelli, and also our friends from the Blues Effects, and that is Mr. Ralph Edwards, the Lark Lord himself. Okay, so again guys, thank you very much for watching our video. Okay, hope you like us, follow us, and subscribe to us for more content and more deck teching video in the future. So this is your boy Mark Ion, and thank you very much, and hope to see you once again in another episode of BS2PCG Deck Forger. So let's go, Iron Man!